We're going to do a scale model of the solar system. We're going to start at Campus Drive and Orange Street. Our scale model is going to be 100,000 miles for every inch. And like I said, we're going to start kind of near where the football field is and the gym. Scale model, our sun will be about 8 inches and the size of a basketball. We are going to walk towards Mercury. Well, there's no better way than to hop on the school bus and let's go find out.
Yeah.
Here we are at Mercury. According to our scale model, Mercury would be that little tiny blue dot. Next up, we have Venus.
Jackson.
According to our scale model, Venus would be the top of that pinhead. Our next planet is the third rock from the sun, which is Earth. According to our scale model, Earth would be the top of the pin. According to our scale model. Now, our scale model works for both the diameter of the planet, but also the distance of the planet. Next up, we have Mars. According to our scale model, Mars will be the size of that little blue dot. So if we take a look back to where we come, you can see the basketball and the flags, remember, represent the different planets. These are all the inner planets. The inner planets are terrestrial planets. Terra means land or rock. So these 4 planets have a solid surface on which you can stand on. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the outer planets. Let's hop on the bus and let's go. Here we are at Jupiter. Jupiter is the first outer planet, and according to our size, Jupiter would be the size of a Nerf bullet. Nerf ball. Let's put Jupiter here. Now let's take a look back at the inner planets. There's a big gap or space in between the inner planets and the outer planets. In between Mars and Jupiter, we have the asteroid belt. An asteroid belt is a ring of asteroids and meteoroids that circle or orbit the sun. And it is essentially a failed planet. If we were to collect all the asteroids and meteoroids, it would create a terrestrial planet. But there wasn't enough gravity and they did not collect, so we have a failed planet. That's how we have the asteroid belt. Jupiter is the first Jovian planet. It is mostly gas, and all the gas planets are mostly gas. And the reason for this is because gas has a low density. It doesn't have a lot of mass, so the sun's mass, or the sun's gravity, couldn't pull that in closer. The inner planets are made of mostly metal and rock, which have higher density. Therefore, the sun's gravity could pull those in closer to the center of the solar system. Next up, we have Saturn. Okay, let's hop on the bus and let's fly to Saturn.
Lost data. Lost data.
Okay, here we are at Saturn. Saturn is similar in size to Jupiter, but a little smaller. Saturn is very well known for having its rings. Even with a small or weak telescope, you can see Saturn's rings in your backyard. Really cool to be able to see that with your own eyes. F&M also has open houses as well as the Mighty Run Observatory. About once a month they have a free open house, so I highly recommend going to see one of those events. Saturn, like I said, is very well known for having its rings. However, all of the gaseous or Jovian planets have rings. Saturn's are just the most noticeable, but they do all have their own rings. Okay, next up is Uranus. Let's go.
Lost data. Lost data. Lost data. Lost data.
Okay, here we are at Uranus. Based off of the scale, Uranus would be about the size of that silver ball. Now, Uranus and Neptune are a little bit different than Jupiter and Saturn. First, they are a little smaller, but also their composition is a little bit different. Jupiter and Saturn are mostly made up of hydrogen and helium, whereas Neptune and Uranus have a bit more methane and ammonia in it. But they do also have hydrogen and helium. But the methane and ammonia, that's what helps give it the more bluish or greenish color to them. Okay. Next stop, Neptune. Let's go.
Lost data. Lost data.
Here we are at Neptune. Notice Neptune is about the same size as Uranus. It too also has a bluish greenish color. Now this is the last of our Jovian planets, our gas planets, and we're about here at the St. Paul Lutheran Church. Remember, we started at the other side of the school at Orange Street and 2nd Street. Now Pluto is not a planet by definition. There are 3 rules in order to be a planet, and it follows 2 of them but not the 3rd one. So it has to have enough gravity to crush itself down into a sphere, which it does, but it does not have enough gravity to clear its own orbital path of debris. So it can't pull in material from its orbital path. And another interesting thing about Pluto, it actually goes inside Neptune's orbit for a portion of the year. Okay, let's do one last trip to Pluto. here we are at Pluto. We are at Orange and Spruce Street. So according to our scale model, Pluto will be this little tiny dot. And like I said, it's considered a dwarf planet because it is too small to clear its orbital path. Now, let's take a trip back to school.